Start the questions.
Our guys got back last night and get ready to fire back up after a couple days off for this big Georgia-Florida game. Excited again to go to Jacksonville and play in an awesome venue. It's very unique to have the neutral site and have, split crowd. And every year we go and play in it. It's very different, than the SEC home away atmosphere. It's kind of weird because it's sits right there in the middle, and it can be loud both ways, and it's kind of a momentum game. Whoever's crowd is into it at the time, or who has the momentum. But our guys are back and ready to get to work.
Yeah, Coach, what have you seen from DJ Lagway in this Florida offense? Obviously going through a lot of changes, but just from a personnel standpoint, particularly the quarterback.
He's a really bright player, got a bright future, great arm talent, got an ability to process information quickly, get ball out on RPOs, really hard to tackle when it comes to you do get through on the rush, and if you ever get through, it's like, okay, now I got to finish. And finishing on a guy that size is harder than you think in terms of his escapability and ability to kind of lengthen plays and do things. So he's done a good job. He's improved. We kind of watched him grow before our eyes throughout last year and this year, and he's surrounded by a really talented group of wideouts and a really talented offensive line. I mean, they're physical in the offensive line. It seems like they got guys that have been playing there for a while, and that complements his style very well.
Coach, how deep in the weeds do you get on Russ Callaway's background or O'Hara's background now that they're going to have different play callers?
Yeah, I don't know that we have time to dig deep enough in the weeds that you would have to dig all the way into. I mean, I think, obviously Billy Gonzalez will have an impact on that as well. He's been around some really good offensive staffs and has some things he believes in. They have, you don't overhaul your entire offense in that short of time. There's definitely ways to change it up in terms of going faster, tempo, and allowing guys to make plays and go with tempo. They've used tempo quite a bit this year, and I would expect them to continue to do that, to be in attack mode and try to take advantage of some of the things they've seen on tape versus us.
Coach, right up here, what sort of challenges present that first game for a team after they've moved on from a coach?
Don't know that I know that. You're just asking what challenges. There's probably challenges. There's probably advantages. There's a new voice, sometimes new energy, sometimes change brings about a spark. I'm sure they'll change some things up and not in disrespect in any way to what Billy did, but sometimes when you bring somebody in, there's new juice there. I don't know the challenges it would present. I haven't been part of that.
Yeah, what have you seen out of Chris Cole this year and how he has developed for you guys?
Yeah, Chris is growing as a rusher and an inside backer. That's been a big emphasis for us, is him to be able to play on the edge, but also still play at inside backer. And he even played early in the season, and we still use him in some things against 12 personnel where he walks out and plays more of a star outside backer type position. So he's had 3 roles, and he's developed in those while maintaining his special teams status of a really good player on special teams.
Yeah, Coach, obviously Jaden Baugh, a kid from Decatur here at Columbia High School. What do you remember about his recruitment, and what have you seen from him as a football player down there at Florida?
Yeah, he's a tremendous talent. Met him in 9th grade. He doubled as a safety and played a lot of DB early in his career, and just kept getting better and better and better, and played some linebacker, and then kept playing safety. And then his senior year, he had a great year at running back, and really played well, carried their team, and had some really electric runs. And he's carried that over in his time at Florida. Really good back.
Coach, I know obviously want to see improvements as the year goes along, but specifically for the defense, what improvements would you like to see from the entire group from now until the end of the season?
I think I'd start with tackling. I think at the end of the day, that's what defense is about, and good defenses have few missed tackles. And when you look at the two of our lesser performances, there were a lot of missed tackles. And first thing you start with is that you've got to tackle well, which starts with being in position to make the tackle, not being out of position. But tackling well is key. Third down defense, I'd like to see us get guys in third and long because we're pretty successful when we get guys in third and long. But that starts with first and second down. And so it all carries over and it kind of all bleeds into each other.
Kirby, off topic, the comedian Nate Bargatze was making his pitch on College Game Day to get a high-profile recruit to go to Vanderbilt. Does anything surprise you in recruiting, or is that a new one for you?
No, I mean, I don't get caught up in it much. You know, Mark, I don't look at the stuff like that and just recruit the best job we can and sell what we have and talk to the kids and communicate with the kids that we talk to and trust them for what they tell us and not get into gimmicks and propaganda stuff.
Coach, another 10,000-foot question with Brian Kelly being fired. Guy won more than 70% of his games. It seems like the expectations in the new college landscape has led to more midseason firings. What do you make of the state of the game, and is there any sort of danger here?
I don't know. I mean, it's the world we live in. Everybody's got a voice. Everybody listens to somebody. A lot of I don't know enough about that situation, to be honest with you, that specific situation. I think you're asking a general view, but, you know, I don't know enough about what's going on over there. Got enough things to worry about in our own house, and that's what I focus on. It's obviously a tough situation on everybody. I mean, let's be honest. It's the players dealing with it, fans dealing with it, coaches dealing with it at this time in the middle of a season. You know, I think there's so much built around the playoffs, and it's like everything's boom or bust, and you can't have a normal season. People got to make decisions earlier based on how somebody does, and I don't know enough about it. I know it's high expectations. I coached at LSU, and a guy once told me, he said, that office you're in, that's not your office. You're borrowing it. And I knew right then that if you didn't win, you wouldn't be there long.
What stands out to you about Florida's receiving core this year?
Size, speed. They got great size, speed, twitch, movement at the line of scrimmage, ability to make plays down the field, break tackles, block, crack in the run game, involvement in the run game. They do a really good job getting their wideouts involved in that, shift motion to get them open. But they're talented. They've got young and old, and they've got good players.
Kirby, speaking of coaching, you're one of 5 alums of the team that you're coaching that's in this week's AP Top 10, and there's also Jeff Brom and Kenny Dillingham. How helpful is it? How much of a strength is it to be in that position? Is it an advantage in general? Was it an advantage for you?
I don't know. I mean, there are advantages in terms of the people you know, the people you're connected to, the infrastructure that you know about, whether it's institutional infrastructure or it's fan base infrastructure. I mean, I think there's an attachment and you understand it well. There's also a burden that comes with that in terms of I've been other places and you know, you never have to worry about keeping people happy that played there before, or the people that were involved there before, or feeling like your time is their time in terms of, I'm not just talking about alumni, I'm talking about, former players in Letterman, I'm talking about alumni and everybody else. So there's advantages and there's disadvantages to it. I don't know if that's correlated to anything or not in terms of it. I would have thought during the NIL fundraising days it probably helped, but it's not, that's not as prevalent right now. It's a little more rev share, and you get your piece of the pie and you spend it how you see fit, whereas before it was how much can you go out and raise. So that might have helped some in the last couple of years.
Yeah, do you have any further update on Kyron Jones and his foot injuries dealing with? And also just kind of like Dash asked earlier, what do you want to continue seeing out of the secondary coming out of the bye week into these last 5 games of the season?
Yeah, I want to keep seeing growth. I want to keep seeing guys getting better. Again, number one thing you can do in the secondary is tackle. So when you get an opportunity to tackle somebody, you got to get them on the ground. You get opportunities to make plays on the ball. You got to make plays on the ball, and then you got to make some plays where you punish people when they make mistakes and catch the ball. So those are things we're looking for each and every week out of every group, but specifically the secondary. And Kyron, again, we're trying to get him back as soon as we can. We're hoping he's able to make it back.
Yeah, this is the last year this iteration of the stadium, and Jackson will be there. Do you have, whether your time there as a player or as a coach, have a favorite memory from that stadium?
A lot of memories because I've seemed like I've coached every Georgia-Florida game that I've been involved in has been there. So it's been some really good battles, some great games, and then played there, I guess 3 or 4 times. I'm not sure how many times because we had one here. But I don't think there's anything that really sticks out like just as, some great wins and some tough losses.
Coach, just what are your early thoughts of Florida's defense? Obviously, they've had some games where they've been, really dominant, and they've had some games where they've not been. So, just what are your thoughts on, some of the talent that they have on that defensive front, especially?
Yeah, they're really talented, and they've had some injuries. They've got some guys out. You can only imagine what this unit would look like if it had stayed healthy the entire year. But they are really good. They're big. They're physical. They got a great defensive coordinator who knows what he's doing. He understands where weaknesses are. He understands what you're trying to do. He has compliments for that. He's been really successful as a defense coordinator everywhere he's been, and they do a great job of stopping the run, affecting the passer. Very dominant defensive team in terms of physicality and skill level.
Coach, ask about the journey that Gunner's been on this year, the improvements he's made from week to week, and still what you want to see from him the rest of the season.
Yeah, I want to see him continue to grow, take what the defense gives him, understand what we're trying to do. We give Gunner a lot of latitude and options in terms of the play call. It's more about putting us in the right play to be successful based on what they're in defensively, and I don't think he gets enough credit for that decision-making process. Every play might have 2 to 3 decisions he has to make, and those 2 to 3 decisions sometimes determine the outcome of that play. And really proud of his growth. He's got to keep doing it and keep taking care of the ball. And when he does that, then we're a good football team.
I know at the end of the Ole Miss game, you said you may have gone against the analytics to kick the field goal. I'm curious, how often during a game do you want to know what the book says, and how has your relationship with analytics evolved over the 10 years here?
Well, when it started, I wasn't really involved in analytics. I don't know that it was prevalent 10 years ago. Maybe it was, and I wasn't, but I didn't really play a part. Somewhere around year 3 or 4, it began increasing. I've probably increased the use of it every year, but the use of it doesn't mean the being chained to it. It's one of those things that I think you've got to use your gut, your intuition. But at the end of the day, I do believe in statistics and analytics, and I think it's going to be right more time than it's not. And we know every situation what it says. I mean, I don't want to be sometimes know what the book says, and sometimes I don't. I want to know what it says all the time and make the best decision in that situation.
Kirby, we're going to talk to Drew Bobo in a second, but he's one of multiple legacies that you have here, sons of guys that you played with, that you were a part of. What's it like having those guys on the team, and what's it like coaching them and then talking to their dad afterwards?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of pride. It says a lot about the coaching staff and the community and the people that were here when their fathers played, for their fathers to be willing to support their sons coming here. You don't necessarily have to have a perfect experience to send your son here, but it certainly helps that you have a positive experience, because you wouldn't be sending your son there. And you find a lot of people across the country that are maybe disenchanted, maybe where they went to school, maybe something didn't go like they wanted to, and it's harder to get the son than it is if they went to school there. And there have been a lot of legacies come through, and we have not gotten them all. but we have gotten some of them, and I wish nothing but the best on the ones that don't come, and I wish nothing but the best the ones that we get, because I think it's important that, you know, if your father or whoever, whatever guardian played here, that you have a positive experience if you come too.
Yeah, Kirby, obviously there's a lot of history in this series with underdogs winning games and kind of ruining other teams' games. How much kind of education will you do on the rivalry with some of your newer players this week?
Not a lot. I mean, we talk about the things that are facts about the history of the game, which are like, you know, the team that rushes, the team that does this, the team that things that are obvious, you know, explosive plays. You have more explosive plays than them, you're probably going to win. You have less turnovers than them, you're probably going to win. If you rush the ball better, you've got a good chance of winning. You know, there's things that are facts about that, and then there's things that are just part of history. And to be honest with you, I'm focused on what we got to do to play well and be at our best, and I think we control that.
Kirby, you've talked about the environment in Jacksonville before, the pregame particularly being a little bit different than a home or an away stadium. Is there anything that you do a little bit differently in the pregame to get your guys going with maybe not quite as much noise or excitement in the pregame at Jacksonville that you would at a stadium venue?
No, other than explain it. I mean, there's not a big rah-rah hoopla. I mean, you're responsible for your own ability to get up. If you can't get up for a game like this, you don't need to be playing.
Yeah, we saw Oscar and Lawson have some pretty big games against Ole Miss. What have you seen from those guys over the bye week, continuing to build on that, and how can they, I guess, benefit the offense over this last stretch of the regular season?
Yeah, I've seen the same thing I saw all year. You know, I think you guys highlight when they get used and when they don't, but they practice the same regardless. They don't just like turn it on in practice. They do a good job. Some teams play us differently than others. Some teams provide us the opportunity. Sometimes Gunners on the same page in terms of what we're looking for and what they're doing, and it opens itself up. But they've been huge assets for us, and they've practiced consistently throughout the season.
Losing Colby obviously was tough. I mean, probably your most physical receiver there on the perimeter. How do you go about trying to replace a guy like that? Can you replace a guy like that? What are some of the other guys going to have to do?
Well, those other guys are physical too. I mean, we got a physical group. There's nobody in our secondary group that's going to run away from contact or fear contact. Those guys are aggressive. Now, Colby has a physical presence to him that he's even more valuable with the ball in his hand because he's hard to tackle, and that's his physicality, is tackling him. He's also physical blocking, but so are the other guys. So we've got other guys. We've got tight ends we can use. 14 personnel, 13 personnel, 12 use of wideouts. A lot of good wideouts that can play for us, and that's been one of our deeper groups. So we'll continue to do what we do in that regard.
Time for one more question.
Kind of piggybacking on what you were asked earlier, but because you guys kind of turn over every stone, what does Ryan O'Hara's background tell you about what he can bring as a play caller?
Yeah, he's been multiple places. He's had success where he's been. Billy wouldn't have brought him on the staff if he didn't have those successes. He's got a great relationship with the quarterback. I think, the person that meets with the quarterback during the day and during the week and during the off season and during all the game planning, that's who the quarterback is comfortable with. So his history has been with those quarterbacks, and he's had success doing it. So it makes perfect sense, in terms of the feel that they have and wanting the quarterback to feel comfortable.
Thank you, Coach.